Children entering their preteens and teenhood are developing emotionally, physically, and of course socially. With these changes, many parents wonder, at what age is it okay to leave a child alone at home or allow them to babysit? Alison Bogle with Austin Family Magazine joins us with some advice on where to start. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning. It's nice to see you.
That is such a difficult decision for some parents to actually give that responsibility to their child and just walk away and think it's okay for my teenager to be home alone.
Right. And there actually aren't many guidelines out there for parents. So it can be a tricky decision to know how to choose when the right time is for your family.
So let's start with that then. What does the law say?
Yeah, so the law is actually not very helpful in this case. There are only a few states that actually designate when a child may legally be left home alone. So in Maryland, it's at age 8. In Illinois, it's age 14. So there's a wide range. And Texas actually doesn't have any guidance around this other than it will hold adults accountable for adequate supervision. So, I want to make it very clear that doesn't mean leave young children home alone. Adults are responsible for adequate supervision. So, and the federal government itself also doesn't give any guidelines here, leaving it to the states. So there are some things we can think about that help us make those decisions.
So what are those things that we need to consider to make that decision?
Yeah, so there are a handful. The first would be maturity level of your child. And obviously, the younger the child is, the more mature for their age you'd like them to be in this case. Can they contact an adult? So, do you have a landline so they can actually physically contact an adult? Or in our case, we didn't have a landline, so we ended up just getting an inexpensive mobile device that we call our emergency home phone for the kids to have at home. Are the kids comfortable with the idea? You want them to be almost excited to try this, and that'll show you that they're developmentally ready. Because the last thing you want to do is kind of push your children to stay home alone. They get scared, and then you set the whole process back, and it makes them very nervous. And you may even need to experiment with daytime only first and work your way up towards dark, because that can be kind of scary for some children. Can they handle an emergency? So do they know what to do if there's fire or a first aid situation? You want to teach them those things and then run them through some drills to make sure everybody feels safe and comfortable. Do they follow rules and guidelines, especially, talking about teenagers? Do you feel like you can leave them home and trust that they're going to follow your house rules? Very important. And then finally, how safe is the environment? So not only within your home is it set up to be successfully safe for them at home, but you want to think about the neighborhood as well, because if there is some type of an emergency and they need to run to a nearby neighbor, are there safe people that you can trust that your child can reach out to if they need to?
So now let's flip it and talk about babysitting guidelines. What do I need to consider in terms of allowing my teenager or my preteen to babysit?
Yes, so this is another case where, again, parents just are kind of winging it. There aren't real firm guidelines out there. But the U.S. Army does offer its families some guidelines that might be helpful to parents here. And they say that starting at age 11, a child is mature enough, well, you want to evaluate your own child, but in theory, a child is mature enough to babysit siblings and family friends for up to 2 hours. When they reach ages 12 to 14, that extends to 3 hours. And then presumably after age 14, they can begin to babysit others that aren't a sibling or a family friend. And then it is also recommended that any child or youth who's going to start babysitting should take the Red Cross babysitting course. And I actually think I remember taking this as a kid and thinking it was really neat. And it would be helpful both for babysitting, but then also kids staying home alone as well, because it does help you learn a lot of safety tips, which can be useful in many situations.
Yeah, CPR being one of them. So I know that is something that parents often look for when they're looking for a babysitter. Lots of good information on the website so our viewers can find it. Alison, thank you so much. It's always good talking to you.
Thank you. Great to talk to you too.